Thanks for checking out this movie review video. So this is for the 1973 giallo film, The Killer with a Thousand Eyes. This one I watched on Giallo Realms, which is a channel on YouTube that just has a bunch of giallo films that you can just watch right there. So the quality of this is not that great. Now, I don't even know if there's a place you can find this film, like on Blu-ray or, well, probably DVD. A lot of these are just on DVD, if that. But yeah, let me know down in the comments if you've seen this film. How did you see it? Did you also watch it on Giallo Realm? In which case, it was kind of rough, wasn't it? But it was worth watching. I will say that much. This is kind of one of those wacky Giallo films that I'm really glad I watched. I rank all the Giallo films that I watch, and this one's not even near like the middle. It's pretty far down as far as not being a very good Giallo film, but it's fun. It's a fun experience because it is so like out there and wacky and random at times. That's another thing. But I'll talk about that. So this one's directed by Juan Bosch, who also directed The Killer Wore Gloves, Exorcismo, 40 Years Without Sex, and Hooray for Divorce, to give you an idea of where his career was and then where it went. Written by Bosch as well as Anthony Steffen, who plays Inspector Lawrence in this. Steffen had actually written scripts for Django the Bastard, Shango, and Tropic of Cancer. And also Alberto De Stefanis was involved as well. He didn't really have any other credits. I think this was the only script, or I think the only like script with an English language title. It was filmed in Portugal, and it was done by a Spanish/Italian crew working together. I think this is the very first, well, I'm pretty sure this is the very first Giallo film I've ever seen filmed in Portugal. I don't know if it's the only Giallo film that has been filmed in Portugal, but it's always interesting to get a different setting. You know, obviously, I love seeing the architecture and the scenery in Italy in these Giallo films, but it's also fun and refreshing to go see a different place. This one takes place in Lisbon, Portugal, so it's just cool to see Lisbon, at least in the 70s. The music is so corny and odd, so much weird keyboard, but I kind of love it because it is so bad. Initially, I was just like taken really aback by how horrible the music is and how driven by this odd keyboard it is. But then I was just like, I kind of love how bad this is. And that kind of helped with the overall experience of the film as it went on because it's not a great film. It's just kind of whacked out. A killer clown. At least that's what the face paint looked like when actually, I thought it initially was face paint, and maybe actually it was face paint in that scene, but later on we see that it was actually a mask when Lawrence just happens to be holding it at one point when he goes to see Sarah. No, it wasn't Sarah. I'll get to it. I wrote her name down, but whoever it was that he went to see, the one who was turning tricks, basically. The siren running during the opening credits is excessive and annoying. Uh, not just from the flashing perspective, but the noise of the siren, the fact that they're just running these opening credits and it just keeps showing this police siren, and you're hearing the police siren. You could have had something else. That I really did not like. I do like the introduction of Inspector Lawrence as he's going into that bar, what looked like a bar basically, and just starts roughing people up. He's assuming they're druggies. I guess they are druggies. He finds that what looks like cocaine in that bottle, and he's just like smashing bottles and just like being really rough with people and just like going through their pockets and just seems mad. And I just feel like that's a funny way to introduce a character like that, especially a character who's supposed to be the main character you're rooting for. He's the antagonist, or I'm sorry, protagonist of the film. So it's just kind of funny. And there's a lot of those kind of really over the top weird characters in this, which is part of what plays to that fun wackiness of the film. So I love that introduction of Lawrence. It got me laughing legitimately. I was just like, this is something. A lot of the dialogue gets kind of delivered really fast. Now, I'm speaking about the American dubs on this, which they're American dubs, and then there's also like a different, I don't even know what language, a different language subtitled. Maybe it's Portuguese. I don't know. It looked close to like a Russian alphabet, so I don't know, but not quite Russian. Um, so it does become a little bit hard at times to like actually process what's being said because the line delivery, not only is it individually delivered fast, but like there's not much time between someone saying something and another person saying something. That's mainly at play in the beginning of the film. It does kind of slow down more as it goes on, but in the beginning, when you're meeting a bunch of characters, it's hard because first you're meeting a lot of characters, and second of all, there's a lot of quick dialogue going on. It's just like it's like a whirlwind, and you kind of feel overwhelmed at times. I was just like, what is going on? What is happening? The old woman who pops up is a real character. And I actually thought that Lawrence was going to attack her at that point when she comes through the door and is kind of like the surprise. I think he was ready to fight her, basically. But and I was just like, oh, of course, he's not going to fight an old lady. But he will fight a young lady. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. But her character was so over the top with like the missing teeth and like the extreme close up on her face to kind of like make it even more ridiculous. And it just goes to what I was talking about so many like over the top weird characters in this, but I like it. Oh geez. Darnell tells Lawrence he'll tell him who killed the other inspector tomorrow. We know what that means. Yes, we do. If you've been watching enough giallo, you know that if someone says, I will tell you something later, or I will tell you something tomorrow, or wait, I have something to tell you, but I can't tell you right now, they're gonna die. And just like a typical giallo film, that's what happens to Darnell. That's when the sniper rifle attack happens, which is wild, by the way. It's shot pretty well, actually. It's very crazy. It's very intense. I just love the way it was done. And then also to add on top of that, like the car exploding at the end of that whole situation, goes to that wackiness. But it's also fun. It is a fun time. I really enjoyed that. Once the hotel owner is threatened with the switchblade, you get the idea Lawrence is in the exact same danger as the guy who had been strangled before him, also an inspector. So that is in there, obviously, to kind of show you the peril that Lawrence is in. Not that he's just, leisurely going about an investigation, but there's someone on his tail. There are people who know what he's poking into, or at least someone who knows what he's poking into, and they're looking to stop him. Or at least silence all the people along the way so that he can't get the information he needs. Diana, that's who it was, the woman who was turning tricks that Lawrence goes to see. Note that she had the killer's mask in her room, which Lawrence actually picks up and is kind of looking at. Obviously, he wouldn't know that that was the killer's mask because he didn't see it. The only people who actually saw it were the guy who got killed and the audience for this film. So it's just kind of an interesting visual thing for the audience to see that, oh, there's some sort of tie in here because there's the mask. Is Lawrence a simpleton? Is my question. He appears to not understand food or how to make it. This is one of my favorite scenes. Actually, it probably is my favorite scene. When he decides that he's going to crack an egg by smacking it on the bottom of a cabinet in the kitchen. What was that? Like, it was funny because, like, leading up to it, he's, like, holding a pan and then, like, holding the egg. And it's like he couldn't figure out, like, how am I going to get this egg in this pan? How do I get it out of the shell? And especially, I mean, I guess he also figured he can't put the pan down to do anything. So he just, like, slaps it up against the bottom of the cabinet. Goes everywhere, and then he just, like, pours it into the pan. And I gotta tell you, that was great. I mean, like I said, it was, like, my favorite part of the film. Very great. Very funny, very ridiculous. I had to tell my wife about that one when she got home because I was just like, you'll never believe the scene that is in this giallo film. And I was like, that kind of, sums up the movie, the kind of feel of it in a way. Then, not long after that happens, is when the woman, I believe it was Darnell's wife. She doesn't actually have a name in this. It's just Darnell's wife. When she snuck into his place and he just cold cocks her in the dark. And it's one thing, like, he didn't know who it was. He was on the defensive. It was dark. Sure. But then he turns the light on and sees that it was a woman, and he, like, smiles and laughs about it. Like, that's the bad part. Like, Lawrence isn't a good guy. He's terrible. Like, he cold cocks this woman and then has a good laugh about it. And he, like, really punched her, too. I mean, not, like, production-wise, but, like, in the context of the film, he really, like, went at it. It wasn't like she got shoved down or anything. It was like a wham right in the... I almost used a bad word. Wham right in the mouth. Yeah. I like how when Darnell's wife gets shot, there's barely any blood as she fumbles around. Also, the fact that Lawrence isn't all that concerned about her dying. He's just kind of like, she's dead now. She got shot. Okay. Another sniper rifle attack, just like her husband got, as we note, it should note. Okay, this is another crazy part that I didn't see coming that was totally left field. The cockfighting going on at Costa's house, or his like big mansion, very nice place, and it looks like a very nice kind of like high class affair. Yet there's like people betting on cockfighting like in the middle of this main room where they're having this high class party. Everyone's dressed up, everyone's looking really nice, having some drinks. Boom, cockfighting right there. What? It was so random. I was just like, what is this? Is a funky film. And I mean, I like how funky it is. Some more information Lawrence needs to be told later. Here ends up coming another death. Yes, that guy who tells him that he'll meet him in the garden of Costa's place to tell him that night what's going on. I think he even says, I know who the killer is, basically. And then, guess what? He gets offed, because that's always how it works, like we talked about already with Darnell. A fight in a gym is exactly what the film needed, and that's exactly what we get. Now, say what you will about this film, and I've said plenty about it, but the fight scenes are actually set up not all that bad. The fact that one of the fight scenes takes place in a gym is odd, though. And it was weird because it's like a gym inside of a gym, because the fighting happens and there's like not really anyone around, and then when Lawrence is leaving, he walks through basically the outer gym where a bunch of people are just like working out like nothing happened. So it's this kind of weird thing where it's like nobody heard all this fighting going on in this other room that's definitely attached to this place. People just going about their business, doing their workouts. Interesting. Then there goes Sarah, the person they said would be the key to all of this. Obviously, the note that Lawrence ended up being given was a distraction so that the killer or killers could get Sarah alone and knock her off of the cliff, basically, to her death. So you do think as an audience member when you're watching it, when he gets this note, you're like, we might be getting somewhere. We might be getting a little piece of information, and that's what Lawrence is thinking too. He goes for it, but then as he's coming back, as he's just like, where is this person that sent this kid to give me this note? And then he finds out that it was all just a ruse to get him away from Sarah's side so she could get murdered, and that's exactly what happened. Yep. He could have just taken her with him, right? He could have. Like that, it's not hard. I guess maybe he felt like he would be potentially putting her in a dangerous position if he did take her. I don't know. Just spitballing on that. Solid car chase with one going over the side of the bridge at the end. Once again, that's kind of par for the course after you see that first sniper rifle attack that ends in an exploding car. You would assume that something cool would happen once this car chase scene starts, and it does. The fact that car goes over the bridge, pretty good. I figured that Costa was involved when he and Lawrence were playing chess at his place. So when they have that reveal, I was thinking, actually, initially when he was at Costa's place for the cockfighting party, he was playing chess with him. And I was just like, this, I think, is a little kind of clue, a visual clue as to who he's trying to catch. It's Lawrence and it's Costa playing chess, much like in the entire film where they're playing chess. Like Costa's, involved in this and he's trying to get away with it. Lawrence is trying to solve it. So they're literally playing chess. So I thought that was interesting that was there. And that's what led me to guess accurately that Costa was involved. Now, I didn't guess. Well, I did think that potentially in the very, very beginning that the other guys were involved, like Inspector Albert and all those other dudes that Lawrence gets very quickly introduced to in the beginning of the film, especially because it's weird that they're all there in the beginning, that they're all introduced in such a fast manner, and the fact that they're all from different countries. It's just like this really odd thing. I mean, it really does, when you find out at the end what's going on, it really does make sense that it's like a drug syndicate, because if you're going to have a large drug syndicate, you need representatives from all sorts of countries in order to make a lot of money. So I thought it was interesting. Slick move having a gun tucked in the drugs there, Inspector Albert. Good job, buddy. And Lawrence should have potentially seen that one coming. Not the smartest guy, like I did question earlier, his whole egg situation. Is he a simpleton? Quite possibly, I don't know, but it does make for some entertaining moments in the film. Wouldn't Lawrence need the drugs around as evidence to help prove what happened? So really throwing the drugs in the water doesn't really serve much of any purpose. If you have a theory on why he did that, go ahead and put it down in the comments. I don't get it. Like, it seems very much like for no reason action that he takes. He's just like, I'm just going to throw these drugs in the water. But yeah, you should keep those because that helps to back up your story of what was going on, because it's literally him standing there having killed other inspectors. You're going to have to make your case. You're going to have to, provide some sort of evidence. You can't just be like, well, yeah, they were running drugs. They were in a drug syndicate. First of all, where are the drugs, dude? There are no drugs because you just threw it in the water. So I don't know. Do you feel me on that? Let me know. If not, like I said, give me some sort of excuse. Like, you can do that. So many of the characters are over the top, but it does make the film way more entertaining. It does give it this really frantic feeling, though, with like the wackiness of the film in general. The pacing is good. I will say that about the film. The pacing is actually pretty good. It's like an hour and 26 minutes or something like that. Definitely under... No, it's like an hour and 22, actually. And I'm down with that. But it moves at a really good pace. There's either a portion of the story being given to the audience, or there's some sort of like fun action scene, or there's some sort of like wacky over-the-top character doing something wacky and over the top. And when it's always something, one of those things going on, the film just moves and it has great pacing to it. So this really is kind of one of those like so good it's bad type giallo films. There aren't a ton of those out there. But yeah, so I'm going to rate it 2 ways for that reason. So out of 5 stars with half stars in play, as far as just like a straight up film, I feel like I got to give it like a 1.5 stars. But as like a so bad it's good film, it's probably like a 3.5, to be honest. Maybe a 3. Probably more like a 3, actually. I'm going to put it at a 3. But I was kind of between 3 and 3.5. But I'll put it at a 3. So yeah, I mean, it's entertaining, though. I really like it. This is definitely one I would recommend that friends check out, especially because if you access the Giallo Realms channel on YouTube, it's right there. It's very easy. So anyway, that was fun. Let me know your thoughts on this film. Go ahead and put it in the comments. But do me a quick favor. Hit subscribe if you haven't already. If you have already, thank you. That's awesome. If you haven't, it's quick, it's painless, it costs you no money, and you are doing me a favor. You're keeping me motivated, and you're growing this nerdy horror community. Especially if you're into Giallo, I want you subscribing because I'm very happy with the kind of small Giallo group I've been building on this channel. Great conversations, because I can talk to nobody in my normal life about Giallo. Nobody wants to hear about it, I tell you. So if you're those people commenting on these Giallo reviews and watching them and subscribing to my channel for them, thank you very much, because you are where I'm getting all my Giallo talk going. Which, you watch a film that you really love or a genre of film that you really love, you want to talk about it. And that's why I'm doing this. So it's great to connect with you other Giallo lovers. So just saying. But anyway, thank you everyone who checked this out for taking your time to watch this. I appreciate that. And until next time, keep it brutal.